LeBron James is on the Philadelphia 76ers. It's just, it feels odd still. Totally understand as we kind of go back in time as to why it makes sense and what happiness means, and winning equals happiness in many ways. I think for most professional athletes, maybe not all, CC, you can correct me on that, but I think professional athletes get into this in many ways to win. Obviously, you want to get paid the amazing money, but you put your body and your mind through hell in order to be able to get the money, and the payoff is the money / the winning. LeBron doesn't need the money. His body is, I mean, it's abnormal. What nobody's ever done what he's done. He and Brady, he and Brady and Serena, I guess, at this point, like a handful of people, right? But he's on the Sixers, which means there are other teams and players that have lost out, right? We thought about Miami, we thought about Golden State, we thought about Cleveland, etc. Is there a player that you look at and say, boy, this guy now has extra pressure, is on a little bit of a hot seat because LeBron is not on his team? You're nodding your head saying, absolutely, Smalls. Who is that person for you?
Oh, Luka Doncic has a lot of pressure on him now.
No doubt.
You are now the focal point of the Los Angeles Lakers. There was a breakup between LeBron James and your franchise so that they could move in the direction where everything centers around you, that they could usher in this new era of Lakers basketball where it's Luka Doncic's team. And for everything that happened with the Dallas Mavericks and how they moved on from him because there were concerns about his maturity, concerns about his conditioning, concerns about his inability to stop complaining to referees, that they thought maybe we shouldn't invest in him long term because we don't know if he can ever get out of his own way. Now you've got to prove it. Now you've got to prove the Dallas Mavericks wrong, you've got to prove the Lakers right, and you've got to prove that you are the right choice for them to make instead of LeBron James. If the Sixers go on to win the title and the Lakers have a subpar season, we are going to start looking at Luka Doncic a little differently.
Define subpar, though.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I just want to define subpar, both of you, because you're a Lakers fan and you're critiquing this whole thing. What would you deem subpar?
Well, obviously, if you don't make the playoffs or if you have a first-round exit, that's a subpar season for the Los Angeles Lakers and Luka Doncic.
Matching
only acceptable losses in my mind as a Lakers fan in the Western Conference playoffs are to the Spurs or the Thunder. And if you don't see either one of those teams until you get to the Western Conference Finals, well, damn it, that's where the Lakers need to end up.
You're making a bold statement. You're saying if they're in the second round of the playoffs and they have Denver,
they better win.
Really?
Yeah, they better win.
Wow.
They better win. They mortgaged everything. They traded everything. They got rid of everything to put the pieces that complement Luka on this roster. And the irony of what you're bringing up, Smalls, is that you're describing a similar situation to what happened in Jaylen Brown in Boston. It's a very similar situation. People want to throw up the money thing. It ain't got nothing to do with money. Nothing to do with money at all, at least not the next 2 years. Because Paul George is collecting the same level of check that Jaylen Brown is. It's $50 million plus. They just decided organizationally that it was time to focus on building around Tatum exclusively. And when you hear what Tatum had to say at a camp for kids, when he was talking about not wanting to be around the smartest guy in the room or the person that thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, that is a direct shot at Jaylen Brown. It's not even subtle. So what you're describing about Luka in LA, the same goes for Jason Tatum in Boston. And the irony is that the two guys that were cast off are now on the same team in Philly, and they have the second shortest odds in the Eastern Conference to get to the NBA Finals? It'll be really interesting to see what happens this year.
Is there somebody for you that you would say, well, because you missed out on LeBron, and LeBron is not on your team, that person is on the hot seat because of it?
I don't know if I would classify it as hot seat, but the Steph Curry of it all is really interesting. What happens with his career? What direction do the...
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that LeBron James is now a member of the Philadelphia 76ers. It's a move that has sent shockwaves throughout the NBA, and it's going to have a ripple effect on several teams and players. As we discuss the implications of this signing, I have to ask, who are the biggest losers in all of this? Who's going to feel the pressure now that LeBron is in Philly? I think it's interesting to go back in time and think about why this move makes sense for LeBron. We all know that winning is a huge factor in his decision-making process. He wants to win, and he wants to be happy. And let's be real, winning equals happiness in many ways. I think for most professional athletes, maybe not all, but for most, they get into this sport to win. They want to get paid, of course, but they also want to be successful. They want to be champions. And LeBron doesn't need the money. His body is abnormal, and he's been able to maintain an elite level of performance for an incredibly long time. He's like Tom Brady, Emmitt Smith, and a handful of other athletes who have been able to defy Father Time. But now that he's on the 76ers, there are other teams and players who have lost out. We talked about Miami, Golden State, and Cleveland. But is there a player who's going to feel the pressure now that LeBron is in Philly? I think Luka Doncic is that player. He's now the focal point of the Los Angeles Lakers, and there's a lot of pressure on him to perform. Kerr's traded away assets to build a team around him, and they expect him to lead them to the playoffs. If the 76ers go on to win the title and the Lakers have a subpar season, we are going to start looking at Luka differently. We are going to start wondering if he's the right choice for the Lakers, or if they should have gone after LeBron instead. What constitutes a subpar season for the Lakers? If they don't make the playoffs or have a first-round exit, that's a subpar season. And if they don't see the Spurs or the Thunder in the Western Conference playoffs, they need to make it to the Western Conference Finals. That's the expectation for the Lakers, and Luka needs to deliver. It's similar to the situation with Jaylen Brown in Boston. The Celtics decided to focus on building around Jason Tatum, and Jaylen was traded away. It's not about the money, it's about the team's direction. And now, Jaylen is on the 76ers with LeBron, and they have a great chance of making it to the NBA Finals. I think it's interesting to see how this all plays out. The 76ers have a great team, and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the Eastern Conference. And the Lakers, with Luka at the helm, need to prove themselves. They need to show that they're a championship-caliber team. If they don't, we are going to start questioning Luka's ability to lead a team to the top. It's not just about Luka, though. There are other players who are going to feel the pressure now that LeBron is in Phil. Steph Curry, for example, is an interesting case. What happens with his career? And what direction do the Warriors go? There's a possibility that he might not sign an extension, and that would be a huge story. Nikola Jokic is another player who's in a similar situation. He didn't sign an extension this offseason, and there's a possibility that he might leave Denver. These are all big-name stars who are going to be affected by LeBron's move to the 76ers. As I look at the NBA landscape, I think it's going to be a fascinating season. There are so many storylines, so many players who are going to be under pressure to perform. And at the center of it all is LeBron James, the man who's once again changed the course of the NBA. I'm excited to see how it all plays out, and I think it's going to be a wild ride. The pressure is on, and it's not just on Luka Doncic. It's on the Lakers, the 76ers, the Warriors, and every other team that's trying to make a run at the championship. The NBA is a league of stars, and when one star moves, it affects everyone else. That's what makes this league so great, and that's what's going to make this season so interesting. I keep thinking about what could have been if LeBron had signed with the Lakers. Would they have been the favorites to win the championship? Probably. But now, with him on the 76ers, everything has changed. The 76ers are the team to beat, and everyone else is chasing them. And what about the other players who were affected by LeBron's decision? What about the players who were traded away to make room for him? There are so many storylines, so many players who are going to be impacted by this move. It's going to be a season of drama, a season of excitement, and a season of championship basketball. As I look at the teams, I think the Lakers are in a tough spot. They've got Luka, but they've also got a lot of pressure to perform. They've got to prove that they're a championship-caliber team, and they've got to do it without LeBron. The 76ers, on the other hand, have got the best player in the league, and they've got a great supporting cast. They're the team to beat, and everyone else is chasing them. It's going to be a fascinating season, and I'm excited to see how it all plays out. The pressure is on, and it's not just on the players. It's on the coaches, the general managers, and the owners. Everyone is going to be watching, and everyone is going to be waiting to see what happens next. I think that's what makes the NBA so great. It's a league of stars, a league of drama, and a league of championship basketball. And with LeBron James on the 76ers, it's going to be a season to remember. The pressure is on, and it's going to be a wild ride.